Awesome. I see a lot of people already joining in. There's still a couple of minutes to start, so I'll just fill in the time. While usually some people are late, some people are can't find the direct link. So like 3-4 minutes before I'll go ahead. I think we have done this webinar for a couple of times now. We have kind of seen people from all around the world, from Istanbul to US to Canada to China, all across Europe. So it's kind of awesome to see that there's a lot of names here as well that kind of I can understand that are from Spanish or Finland. So it's kind of exciting that the gamification marketing scene is kind of getting grasped all around Europe. I would ask, can you hear me okay? Is everything fine in that regard? Tere Fotografiskast. If Fotografiska, that is never had anyone from Fotografiska. Solid audio. Great. Any one of you have attended any of our previous webinars as well? Awesome. It's always nice to see people coming back. That means that we did something right on the previous ones, that when people want to come back. I followed you on them. Not me exactly. Well, I hope that you'll enjoy everything that I have to say, or at least you get some ideas. So regarding the kind of agenda and everything that I'm going to talk about, I think it's going to be around 40 minutes. What I'll briefly discuss, and it was very surprising to me when I was just doing SEO optimization, that gamification marketing and using gamification in marketing scene is really not very searched term. Like, people very often don't even know what it is, even less how to use it, or like what's the concept. Like, okay, we can use game concepts or game design or just interactiveness in our marketing campaigns, or even in our employee engagement campaigns or hiring campaigns. But what does it actually mean? Like, how can you actually create one? What should you kind of focus on? So in this webinar, I will cover everything of it. I will cover, first of all, how what's the kind of logic behind it? What are some different options? And then I will also, of course, I will go over some examples that we have created. I'll share my screen with real life examples. I'll share you some statistics, some analytics that we also gather if our customers create those gamification campaigns with our platform. I encourage you to use any platform that you desire to create those kind of ideas that prompt through this webinar. Of course, like, we have our own software as well, and I'll kind of explain the way that we have been doing it via our software. But if you want to custom develop any engagement or anything, that I still hope that you get some ideas. Can we get the recording of the video? If there has been some times where the recording has not worked, I hope that it works this time. If it is, then I'll try to do my best. But if it isn't, then you're the lucky 100 people who can enjoy everything, enjoy all the new knowledge. So let me actually start the presentation as well. For some reason, it is already. Let me scroll it all the way to the start, and then we can start. It does take some time. And I also I sent a bunch of messages around as well to a lot of participants, whether there is something specific you want us to cover. I tried to include as much as I could to this limited time. So I do hope that if you provided some feedback, then you actually find your own answers here as well. So hello. Let's see. Okay, there is There's a lot of registers already here, so let me just get started. So the topic of the webinar, how to use gamification in marketing in 2022. So gamification in marketing, I will just throw out the first poll in the chat. So I will just get a little bit of understanding. I should ask two questions. Number one, can you please answer, how familiar are you with the gamification marketing in general? I'll give it a couple of minutes because, and if everything's correct, it should now answer. Yep. So a lot of people are familiar, although very often they kind of think of it from a kind of a weird perspective. So what excites me the most is when people say a little, because if very often when they're very familiar, then we might be talking about two different things. And then no clue but interested is also very exciting. So as I see already, okay, there is a bunch of answers. And let's see the results. So around 90% of you are a little or no clue but interested. So which means you have come to the right place. The second, actually, I'm not going to throw in the second poll yet. So what gamification marketing in general, it's really becoming this kind of an essential thing that when people are using it and get the results, then the results have been amazing and great enough that you were kind of wondering why didn't we use it before. So it's really, at least you have to be aware of this possibility to exist. Even if you don't think that you will want to kind of innovate in that scene, that also enables you to understand what your competition are doing, what is working for them and what is not working for them. So on the first half, I'll go a little bit on the idea of gamification marketing explained. So some rules, some feedback, importance of feedback, importance of interactions, and so on. And then on the second half, I'll go a little bit over the cases and how to create one. So my name is Kalev. I am the founder of Adact. I have previously created gamification solutions for a lot of major companies around the world, like Verizon, Keurig, Volkswagen, Caesars Palace, Carrefour. I've done gamification consultancy on my own for around 2 years. For a couple of years, I worked in New York gamification design agency, where I was the lead designer of gamification solutions, where we did a lot of gamification usage in marketing area as well. So that all this experience led me to create this company called Adact, where now brands and other companies, agencies can create their own gamification marketing solutions without writing any code. Just kind of use all the benefits without all this resources, both time and money needed to pour into it. I can give you an example. If we create a Volkswagen campaign, it took us around 30,000 euros and around 3 months of work, which is the same thing that we could create right now in like 30 minutes. So there are different types of gamification marketing. One thing that I really want to get out right now, or like straight away, is it's not only using games in your marketing, but it's also gamifying your content that you want to, that you're already distributing in your websites, in your application, and so on. So there's gamified content and there's games. So gamified content, what I mean by here is when you write a blog post, then that blog post is a content and you would want people to interact with that piece of content. Now, if you just put it out there, then you only rely on the fact of whether people read it or not. But our idea in gamification marketing is we will give a little bit of an extra level or extra layer of interactions to that blog content. Or, for example, you're coming out with a new product and you create a landing page that introduces stuff about that new product or a new service. So if we just have a landing page with no layers of interactions to that landing page where they can interact with your new product or interact with your new service, then the results are almost always a little bit worse than if you would provide some layer of interactivity to that landing page as well. So, or you will have a new pricing page. So it's one thing to just read about your pricing, but it's another thing if there's a way that people can interact with the numbers, can give you feedback in a little bit of a gamified way. So in that regards, we're talking about stuff that are like text-based, like trivia games or Jeopardy games, or where you ask feedback in an interactive way. And then another part of the solution is actual games. So where you will convert your message or your kind of product or your service offering into an actual game. So there's two different kind of concepts, and both of them can be used at different points on the buyer's journey to emphasize different kind of different things that you want to emphasize. And that is why I'll a little bit rush ahead of things, is every single company has a place for gamified content. If you do not want to create games, then you can still create the interactive content, which always works better. And as you can hear me emphasizing a lot is the interactivity, and that's the real core thing that I want to start explaining. So what ties them together is the interactiveness, and that's the kind of beauty and the reason behind gamification marketing. So every time someone interacts with your content, and don't worry if you're a little bit confused of what do I mean exactly by interactive, I'll give you a bunch of examples right after. So every time someone interacts with your content, they get feedback. And that's the beauty of game design as well. That, you know, gamification concept comes from game design. We try to use game design patterns and game design knowledge in a non-game context. Whatever board game you play, whatever card game you play, every action provides some feedback. So if you imagine a board game where, you know, you would move your piece to somewhere else, then something happens in the game that will give you feedback. If you're doing a trivia game and you're getting asked a question and you answer one of them, then if you answer correctly, I don't know, you get 100 points, you get a green check mark, and you get some text whether it was correct or not. Every layer of interactivity always produces feedback, and that is a very crucial thing that I'll stop a little bit later on as well. So, and the second part is the focus. It is impossible to play any sort of game or to do any sort of interaction without being fully focused on the activity. Sorry, there's just some question. So that means, like, if you're watching TV, it is possible to watch TV without being fully focused and fully immersed into it. You can, like, you know, you watch TV and you play with your smartphone at the same time. It is very simple to read news and not pay attention to any of the online banners, because your focus is not solely on the banners. Your focus is somewhere else. But when we're talking about gamification, then it is impossible to play a game without having 100% of your focus in there. I mean, then you're just not playing the game. And that is also proven by a lot of the statistics that I'm going to show later on, where around 98% or to 99% of the people who interact with our gamified campaigns go from start to finish. They complete the entire journey. So let's bring in some kind of the kind of division between them. So if we're talking about interactive content, then what can be the interactivity behind it? So for example, you're trying to memorize something, or you're trying to guess something. So when you're trying to memorize something, that would mean, like, if you have a blog post and in the middle of the blog post, you will have a pop-up trivia with just one question maybe that asks a question about the content, the blog post. So by answering it, you're trying to memorize what you just read. Or maybe it's promoting your new packaging. So you will create a game around what is our packaging and what is our new packaging and what is our old packaging. So you're actively trying to memorize the new packaging concept. You can also try to guess something. So, you know, what do you think? How much would it cost if you want to get an insurance with us with these parameters, right? So in the middle of this kind of a page where you do your value offering, you have an interactive part where, hey, for example, this is a family with these kind of properties, like these family members, and they want to get an insurance for life insurance for all of them. What do you think it will cost? So the person will actually write down the number and guess something. So for example, sorting, let's say you will have a Black Friday campaign where you have a lot of discounts on specific products. So in the middle of the page, you will have a game where you will have to sort. What do you think has the highest discount of the products in our Black Friday campaign? So they will sort it, they will sort it around, sort all the kind of products, and then press, is that correct? Or opinion, and it is like, what, which one of the things that we offer do you like the best? Like if you have a juice company, you offer 10 different types of juices, and you would want to know the preferences of your kind of juice drinkers. Then you would ask opinions, and you would ask opinions in an interactive way. Like you show that. I'll give a few examples right after it. So there's a lot of different ways that you can create interactive content about the thing that is not actually a game, but you're making it a little bit more interactive with those actions. And when we're talking about marketing games, that's where we talk about specific games, Candy Crush, Flappy Birds, Super Mario, Whack-A-Mole, all those games where you have activities. In those games, you are running, you are jumping, you're catching, collecting something, you're aiming. And all of those actions also relate to what is your message. So, for example, we have an example of a beer, like a summer drink, non-alcoholic beer, of course, where you will catch flavors of that drink into the can of the new product. So the game itself is about catching those flavors, but the message is what are the flavors in that drink. So again, you can just have this game running in your application, running in your website, have people really interact with your new product, not just read about it. And all of those games and all of those interactions work with those game elements. That means every time you get something right, you're maybe scoring points. You're risking, meaning like in a Flappy Birds game you're playing, and if you do a wrong thing, then you would lose a life. You can play again, and the next time you'll play again, you will notice some improvements. You get more points, you get further away, and so on. You will get some rewards, and there's some progression in that activity. And of course, surprise is something that is very often overlooked. So you would not know what happens if you complete that interaction, and then the kind of excitement or the surprise of what will happen is the thing that keeps you engaged. So now that I've given a lot of examples, like a lot of this kind of a theory of what they are, let's go into some specific examples. Not specific examples yet in terms of actual clients and cases, but I'll show you some games that we have, we're providing and we see that are working very well. So in terms of the interactive content, so I just created some examples on, like, for example, which Christmas movie do you like more? It's just a kind of template or a draft. So if you would ask something, do you like it or not? Then it's always more beneficial to kind of try to include some of the game elements behind it. So on Tinder Swipe, well, I just call it Tinder Swipe. So you would upload like 10, 15 different images, and you will just swipe it right or left. Your end users will swipe it right or left, whether they like it or not. So here, there's a little bit of a surprise mechanic as well. One of the reasons why Tinder is so successful is you do not know what is behind the picture that you're evaluating. You don't know how many pictures are there. So once you are finished evaluating one, then you get a surprise of what's behind that. Also, it's an actual kind of action that you're gonna do. It kind of feels like you're involved in it. And again, it's not possible to do if you're not actually focusing on it. So just one example of interactive content. Interactive content as a battle. One concept that I also like a lot is the idea that you will, for example, you have a bunch of different products in your e-commerce store, or whichever type of products or things that you can come up with. So the game will pair two of them randomly together and ask your audience the question that you want to ask. In this example, like, which Christmas movie do you like more? So you will actually vote for one of them, and then a new pair comes up and you will vote with another one. This is also a way to kind of keep people engaged while also minimizing the amount of information you're presenting at one time. Now, both of those examples, at the end of the game, they would know the results, which is also part of game design, part of why it works in gamification marketing concept. So after you finish the entire interaction, you'll get the results. This is how people voted. And this is what the most popular opinion was. And that kind of gives a little bit of an exchange or reward of that action, where people learn themselves whether their opinions matched up with the general population of opinions. And then the third way of doing interactive content, for example, is like having a Jeopardy game. You can also have like a simple trivia game, which also works. You will just ask questions. But I personally like Jeopardy style a little bit more, where you will kind of divide your answers or divide your questions into categories. And each question will get, score you a specific amount of points. And your goal of the game is to finish in a positive score. So you will click sports 100 and the question appears in sports. I actually have them animated, but for some reason the software doesn't show it as animated. And there is, every single company can have some questions, some topics, some little bit of a gameplay in their website where people kind of interact and see, like, choose the topics they want to answer and so on. So in specific marketing game examples, which we have around 15 different games, like 3 quick examples that also have always been working very well is the drop game. So you would actually create a game. You would actually create a game where things are falling down and you have to collect some things that you desire and avoid some things that are bad. So on the left side, you'll see like it's like chips company that also came up with a new flavor of chips. So you will try to collect all the cheese balls and avoid, for some reason, you had to avoid cats, which me as a cat person may or may not approve, but it was a really great game with great analytics. So in the second part, there's like a tower stacking game where you will try to stack the highest tower. So in that case, this example is for like a pancake company who just came up with a new product packaging. So they wanted to explain that our new packaging, like they wanted people to remember the new packaging. So what they did is people tried to stack the highest tower possible with their new packaging. So second part, the third example, for example, is the Candy Crush, right? So this is also one of the most highest engaging games. So you will have your own flavors, your own objects. And again, a little bit rushing forward, it doesn't even have to be your own objects. Let's say you're an insurance company and you have your insurance logo, your own branding, your own design, but the game is about Christmas, right? So you don't have to have the game elements be exactly directed towards your brand, but it can also be directed towards something that is happening around the world. Let's say there's a soccer finals are coming up, and you're maybe one of the sponsors there. So you will have a game with your branding, your logo, but the game itself is about soccer, which is also a thing that we have seen various different times people do. Just some examples here. So of course the question is, why would you use any of those solutions at all? And I have listed out a couple that I think are most beneficial or like most important. So first of all, it's the fact of emotions to memories. Gamification marketing and all this interactive marketing enables us to create emotions, which is required to produce memories. That is the reason why you remember that one time 25 years ago when you crashed the bike and you got really hurt. Or that is the reason why you remember that one time when you get locked out of your apartment because you forgot your keys. You get frustrated about it. You have some emotions, and that's why you remember it. But you don't remember maybe one random stroll from the office back to your home because there's no specific emotions attached to it. So it's a well-known fact that every time you want to create memories, you have to produce some emotions. Well, how a lot of banner advertisement does it, and it actually works. is they will, every time you kind of interact in an online news site, they just full screen banner that you have to close, right? So if you see that banner 50 times, you eventually get frustrated, right? Again, this banner, and that's why you remember it. But the reason why I don't like it is it produces this kind of a negative association, negative emotion towards that memory. But it still works. But in gamification marketing, we're trying to produce a positive emotion in correlation to the memories. So some different ways you can generate emotions in gamification marketing. So again, we can produce, for example, anticipation. So on the left, it's not moving, but I can show you later. So it's like this open the box game. Once you click on the box, it starts shaking and there's something, a reward coming behind the box. So there's some anticipation emotion and excitement emotion. On the gameplays, you also get like you're trying to achieve the best score. Playing Candy Crush with your branded materials means that you're focused on, when you get the three correct matches and things start falling down and exploding and whatever, that produces some excitement. You see your score going up, you're getting actively involved. That makes you remember this interaction. And the same thing with interest, behind the Jeopardy options, opening up a new question and seeing what's behind it and having an actual interesting question. You would also be interested in what's behind door number 2, what's behind calories 200. So these are all emotions that directly correlate to how well people remember your brand, thanks to gamification marketing. Now, they are on average, not like on average, but we constantly see people who refer to our, you want to use Adact. Then they come to us saying, like, we saw this campaign that was created with us like in 2019. That's how we know that. And then we can see that they actually interacted with those campaigns. It's not only like days or not even weeks, it's months that people remember those campaigns. So the second part is very high engagement at a very low cost. So if on average, like if you have a landing page and you promote it and you have another like ad spend where people would want to click on that ad and then arrive to the landing page, then they're going to be that in that landing page, not for a very extended amount of times. But gamification campaigns see thousands of gameplays per player. And I get like a lot of people don't believe me, so hence I actually show, like, I will show some actual examples as much as GDPR allows me to. But when we're thinking of looking at like random campaigns that we see in the analytics launch with our software, then for example, I just searched for one specific email. That person had 1,392 gameplays of that one game over the course of 8 days. Each gameplay, as you can see from the slide as well, game length is 46 seconds because that game was 46 seconds long. That means over the course of 8 days, that specific user spent 17.4 hours interacting with that campaign. And fun fact is that was the 10th most active player of that campaign, not even the most active one. So having someone, you catch attention of one person with one banner click, and that results in 17.4 hours of gameplay with your campaigns. This is not even like, a lot of people don't believe me when I show those numbers, but I can literally take any campaign that we have, and we will see those kinds of engagements. And I can show it to you later. The thing is, I cannot show it like live examples because of the emails and whatever. I cannot publicly show them. So that really means that people come back to play. So you do one, also a quick note, I see a bunch of questions in the Q&A. I will go back to the Q&A after I finish the presentation so I can go through all the questions in a row. So people come back to play again and again. That means if you catch the attention of one person and that person sees this advertisement again, they will come back. Even if they don't see the advertisement, it's a very high chance they will go and Google that game to play again. That is a thing that I noticed when we are doing our own SEO analysis. People are Googling brand name and the game that we launched to go back and play that game. So we see on average on 4 to 7 different days, one person comes back to interact with those campaigns. Now, that doesn't mean all of them. Like if you're adding like a trivia game in the middle of the blog post, that doesn't specifically mean that they're coming back to that blog post to play that game. but all of the high engagement campaigns see those numbers. And again, I just literally like 20 minutes before this webinar, I took this example. I took the same email and I then filtered out on different days. I had one day double, different days that person is playing. And you can see from December 28, 29, 30, of course, then there's the New Year's, but even after the New Year's celebrations on January 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, that same person came back and played again and again and again. And that is not like extra. You're not doing any extra work to achieve that. You're just putting the game out there and having people get. And that's the visual of the game. So it's Atomic Wallet, which is a cryptocurrency game. And here as well, it's just collecting crypto coins and then having the ability to win some prizes based on your score. So that also means that there's also one more note that I had on the previous slide. Here, on average, 18 for Advent calendar. We had Advent calendar. You can create Advent calendars, digital Advent calendars with Adact as well. And on average, if a person started every day in December, one door opened, and behind each door there was a new campaign, like a Wheel of Fortune or whatever. On average, 18 different times that specific person came back to that website to play that, to open the new door, which is like amazing. So it creates major boost to your website activity. If you take any campaigns that you create and you just put it straight to your website, then you see people spending so much time in your site, which is very beneficial for the SEO. They're coming back to your site at a very like you just create this campaign and let it live their own life. You can even create the campaign and just add it there for like entire year, just a little small extra that people can do in your website. That increases the time spent on your website. So the same kind of example that if you're focusing on print ads on 1.7 seconds, like on average, there was one study that I could find, and auto adds an online banner. My subjective opinion is like how long on average do you actually put focus on them? It's like 1 second and 1.5 seconds. Then with gamification campaigns, that is actually statistics that we did across 67 campaigns that we had launched, and across 67 campaigns, average engagement length is around 9 minutes. So on average, people interact 9. That also, of course, includes those who do like 17 hours, which kind of pumps up the numbers on average. But 9 minutes, that is actually not surprising. I can take any campaign and see that there's around 9 to 12 times people play in a row, and usually a gameplay is around a minute long. And the 98% completion rate means that they're actually, when they click start, then they do the entire interaction. So that generates those memories that I was talking about. And last but not least, those banner ads which show any type of interaction, any type of play and win, generate around 5 times higher CTR, click-through rates on banner ads, because you kind of invite them to play. You are already exchanging some experience to just, rather than just, hey, this is a, leave us your email and, our new product launch, this is our new product, right? This doesn't actually invite to do anything, but gamified advertisement gives you an opportunity to invite people to play. And that's why a lot of those Facebook posts where, I bet you cannot solve this equation, which inherently is a stupidly simple equation, get so much attention because you're inviting people to do something. And that's one amazing thing that gamification marketing's opened up. So where would you want to use them briefly? There are different stages in the buyer journey, the awareness phase, the consideration phase, and the decision phase. Every phase can have different reasons why you would want to use interactive marketing. So on the awareness stage, you would really want to bring out the attention and stand out and have the message be as much distributed as possible. So you would want to create a high engagement game there. On the consideration phase, you would really want to help people, help them decide on different options. That's where a lot of those swipe games, those Jeopardy games, trivia games, personality tests, and those come in. A lot of text-based games are the best in this kind of a stage. And then when you're actually doing the decision, then you can use all those games for immediate conversion. So once you finish the game, then the next screen right after the game directs you, or like gives you a custom coupon code that you can use straight in your store, or you can actually do something right after the game. So who is this for? I just added this slide because I know that there's a bunch of questions. So I just show, like, these are some of the clients that are using us, but as you can see that there's so many different kind of verticals that it really is for everybody. We have, starting from banks like LHV, Swedbanks, from media outlets like Aribab, Soap Media, car companies, Peugeot, Mini, food and beverages, O'Leary's, Carlsberg, telecommunications, which is Tele2, Bitte, even Disney. You know, there's so many different companies, even that is Change Invest, so the C level. So there's, for example, European Parliament is using us, Nordic Minister of Council. So if you ever think of whether my company can leverage interactive marketing, I'll just rest assured that you can. Just whenever you want to get a little bit more kind of ideas out of it, or how can but you don't have the ideas, how can my company use it? Just, you know, book a demo with us, or like give me an email and I will provide you specific examples how you could do it. So how to actually create one. Usually I've been here pretty specific, but I'm not going to go into too much detail here. I'm just going to kind of jump over it. But the idea is that the interaction that you're going to do has to be purposeful. So you first understand what's the purpose, then you understand which interaction is there to it, and then you understand the design. So the purpose is like, after 6 years with LHV, I've never seen a gamified campaign. I just want to use it. They started using us 2 weeks ago, and their first campaign is going to be launched, I think, at the 1st of April. So keep your eyes posted. So what are you trying to promote? Are you trying to promote a new product or an existing product? New product means that you're using something that really like focuses down on the new qualities of new stuff of that new product. Where promoting an existing product more relates to the brand awareness of, you know, having the logos there, having the same product, interacting with that existing product. Are you trying to promote the service? If so, then are you focusing on your service qualities or uniqueness? Are you trying to achieve more leads, more awareness, more knowledge? Are you trying to educate something? And is there a specific timing? Are there any holidays going on? Are there any events going on? So once you have an answer to all of those questions, then a combination of those answers gets you the first kind of a brainstorming step. I want to promote a new product which is unique in the market for its speed, for whatever, new mobile phone that is new in the market, that is unique because it lasts a very long time. And they want to generate a lot of leads that I could add to my newsletter. And by the way, it's Easter time. So those kind of mix and match answers help you to the next step, which is what interaction to create. So what do you already have? Do you have videos or text or mascots or visuals or prizes? There's something that you already definitely have. So for example, if you have a mascot, then you can make that mascot be that interaction. And if it's a Christmas theme, then you can have your mascot be dressed up as a Santa Claus, and the drop game where things that are dropping are your products, for example. Or have that Santa Claus flying around in a Flappy Birds game. If you want to promote a quality of a product, for example, a strength, then I will think like, okay, so I will have to hit it with something. So it's like a kind of a whack-a-mole type of game will be very suitable. If you're having a new batteries, like Duracell comes up with new batteries, have that which lasts really long, then how long can you last can be that theme of the game. So it's a lot about the brainstorming of what can you come up with, but there's also, you know, the text-based solutions. Like, did you know, can I create some kind of quiz around a new service that is coming up? Are there a lot of different options to choose from, and I want to suggest one specific solution to my potential clients. So I will have a personality test where the end result is what suits you the most. Even car companies like Mini created a personality test, which Mini will suit you best. You want to involve a community, right? So you will have those battle or swipe games that I showed before, where the entire community comes together and tries to answer their opinion, and you can later on get the entire community opinion. So there's a lot of different, I don't want to stop too long, but there's different ways of kind of promoting or brainstorming this game. So a couple of last kind of ideas on the explanation stage. Don't ever make the game too long. 60 seconds is the maximum. You would want a higher replayability count. Never be afraid to make a game too easy. If it's too easy, it's too boring. Always make it a little bit harder than you think to actually generate some emotion out of it. Always finish at the peak. So don't wait for the users to get bored until you finish the game. Finish while they're still excited, and then they will replay it again. You will try to always increase the difficulty gradually. That's also what happens in the Jeopardy game. The more questions you answer, the more difficult they get, the more points they generate. Never worry about aesthetics and visuals over simplicity. The simplicity is definitely the most important thing that you have to have. No tutorials, no nothing. As soon as someone jumps in, you know that that you can, they understand the concept. And that's the same thing of not using any complicated mechanics. So some examples that people have done, I'll share some screen as well. So the same kind of match 3 game that I showed before, this, for example, got like 400,000 engagements for, I think it was like 2 weeks or something, with an average game length of 26 minutes, which means around 39 game plays in a row. One thing that's always very important is the very low bounce rates in the gamification campaigns. 10 to 20% is a very average. We also see like 7% of bounce rates, meaning people come to that site to play that game and they will probably not close the site without playing. So you can also have all the games, and I can show it in a little bit. Whatever game you create, just embed it in your site, which, for example, Byte did on this Black Friday campaign. And this Black Friday campaign as well, you can see that this had 570,000 visitors, 488,000 games started by 19 unique people. If you do a very simple math, then you can see how many times every unique lead played that game, because you had to have your email and leads posted before you could start playing the game. Game completion, again, 99% of the people gameplays that started finished on average for 60 seconds. So again, this is like a financial institution where the theme was how financially fit you are. So initially, you kind of had to, it was like this Super Mario type of a game where you'd have to, jump over obstacles to collect money, with the theme of how financially fit you are. As you can understand, this really has nothing to do with the banking itself, but it was a very great engagement. And after the game, then they can have the calculator to show, like, would you want to have the small loan offer? And this apply now, I can't remember the exact statistics, but they were very happy of how many people actually went to apply now, which then redirected to do their own website. So I'll try to also show one example. One of the clients that I liked, I'll show you exactly what was the pain. You were fit now, or that exactly. I'll show you the campaign, and then I'll show you exactly how they did it. It's amazingly simple. I'll stop the slideshow, and I'll share my screen. So the campaign that I want to show you, for example, is it's just very simple to create. It's this again, this candy game, candy company. Again, you can see like 70,000 visitors, 57 gameplays by 4,000 unique players. Here you can see all in the analytics as well that play again button, which appears at the end of the game, was pressed 52,000 times, right? This also had a leaderboard and so on. So this was how the campaign looked like. It's in Estonian, sorry. But you will, give your emails. You will go play. Of course, this is already taken. They did provide some tutorials, so you would go and play. And it's like a simple Candy Crush, which they embedded in their own site, right? So if, for example, people will want to, the same company created the same game with us, then what happened was they will log in. They will create a new campaign, which says create a match 3 campaign. I'm just going to go with default settings. And here, like, we provide a specific, default way of creating this match 3 game. I have this example here. So what they did was basically upload their own icons here. Although all of those icons are 150 by 150, the game kind of correlates themselves, so you don't have to really worry about it. And doing those designs, I think, took, how long does it take from a designer? Like a couple of hours, right? So now they had the standard game. I think they had it a 6x6 or 6x7. They generated this kind of a very simple campaign landing page that you can do here as well. So I think they added the game background, just drag and drop the background that they wanted. Here, of course, this registration form looked completely different from this. So how they did it, they just removed all the colors. Let's change this image to their logo. So it's a little bit too large, so let's make it a little bit smaller. Get rid of the border. And they had those texts, so I can just copy paste this text. Right. So of course now you can edit all the fonts, all the visuals, but already right now, if you would go, I can change this webinar example. If you would go to adact.me, what you will see is /webinar example 2. This is the exact game that I already created, right? So I'll add my names. I'll see how it works. Okay, so that's pretty decent. It kind of looks exactly how I want it to look. It says that it's currently in draft. So let's go ahead and publish it. Right. So basically, that is all there is to it. So in a minute or so, the campaign will be published. And what can I do with this campaign? So if I go to adact.me how, so I can use it as my own branded landing page and share it with people, exactly how I'm sharing it with you right now. I can even have the same, what's the link here? I can paste this in the chat. You can just go and test it out. So you can use it as your own landing page. You can give the direct traffic here, or you can embed the same game in your own site, as I have done here. So I can actually play that specific game that I created in my own site. Just copy paste one line of code. This is a drop game, a different game. But what you can also do is you can also have them appear in like digital banners online. So again, you will just copy paste one line of code and you will distribute all those games that you create in that specific banner. Or you can just distribute it through whichever online advertisement platform that you use. And so this was this specific example. But of course, the idea is that you can create all sorts of different examples. Whichever example you want to try out, as long as you get you have the license, you can just come here. You can always buy just one campaign, have some campaigns running out, see how it works. You would want to create a Jeopardy game. Let's go with default settings. And here, the game appears here. I'll set it up here, and I can use the game anywhere I'd like to. So that's the kind of gist and topic of how this. Of course, also do have in mind that this is not optimized. I would imagine that it may not look the best for mobile, but it should. So actually, what also happens now is I can actually now see all of the people that interacted with that campaign, right? I can already see in the analytics that 8 people have visited that, but we have generated 2 unique leads. I can say some Mikkel played the game, and also I played the game, and it's already generating leads, and it's already live. So let me now go a little bit towards the questions that got answered. Otherwise, we're a little bit running out of time. What kind of gamification would I use in insurance? Some kind of examples from around the world. I think I actually gave one example for insurance, but most for insurance is the knowledge-based type of campaigns. Or if you're focusing on, you're now having a house insurance, and then you can have a drop game with like rocks falling down or lightning falling down, and trying to avoid them being hit by the house, avoid the house being hit by lightning or whatever. If you want to make it gamified, like a game-based. If you want to have content, then always create any types of trivia games, Jeopardy games, personality type of games, prediction games, like what do you think will be your calculations for this cost. Gamification in B2B marketing, are there any case studies? Yes, there are. In B2B, most of the time people use either Wheel of Fortunes or digital scratch cards or trivia types of games, because by the end of the day, every person behind the B2B company is still a person. There is no, you're still trying to get the attention of a person and trying to get your message across. There is no real difference. Are there stats with gamified marketing producing negative correlation aside from annoying banners? No, it gets asked a lot whether this is kind of a to it. I have not heard about any negative association besides I want to get a better score and I just can't get a higher score. Gamification B2B marketing. I'm happy to kind of produce some examples that we've seen our clients use. But as I say again, if you want to have a B2B marketing, whatever you're doing right now can be turned interactive. So the question is, what are you doing right now, and how can we turn it interactive? Does the badge trophy effect have solid enough providing ground over actual gameplay style integration? I'm not sure what you mean by badge trophy effect, but in general, in gamification, the badges and trophies are used when you can actually show them to a wider audience and have like a, you're the most active poster in our community. They work the best if you actually have a way to showcase them. Can you use gamification in key account management? Need a little bit more details on it. I'm pretty sure you can. As I said, you can use gamification interaction everywhere. It's not only games, it's all this interactive content that you can produce. And I'm happy to go, over your specific case, either over a demo call or via email. Gamification in the third sector, like donations. We are actually doing donation campaign for Ukraine as well with our Ukrainian developers. So we have not yet decided how we're going to do it, but the idea is to spread awareness of the ways that you can donate money. And we have a game like, what do you think a city could do with that amount of money? Or, what do you think this amount of supplies will cost a city? An example of what computer programs do you recommend for building gamified campaigns? So, of course, I would always recommend Adact, our own product. Otherwise, there are not too many that you could use. You could always custom develop, but they do take a lot of time and money. So will I share my PowerPoint? I'll think about it. Specific age groups with gamification works better. Out of all the campaigns that we have launched, the most popular engager is a 27 to 45-year-old female is the most active player. But all the time, it only depends on who are you advertising this campaign to. Conversion of people from game addict to actual user consumers, percentage of difference. So it really depends on what are you offering or what is your. I can get out. I think I get the specific statistics of how many people play the fitness game and how many actually applied for loan. So there's no literal correlation between them. The game is there, or the gamified interaction is there to either communicate that information or just produce brand awareness high enough that if a person would desire to use any of the services, then you will be the first that comes into mind. Yes. So with that, we're exactly an hour. There's a bunch of things that I will definitely want to cover more, maybe go into the detail, but I know that if I will go into a specific vertical, then there is a lot of different verticals that I'm not going into, and audience is very mixed and match between different verticals. So I would really invite you to, if you're really conservative, you're thinking like, how can I use it in my own, company or software? So let me give you one. So if you really want to know how can you use it in your own company, how can you use gamification strategies in your own software, or maybe you have already some ideas, but you are not sure whether they are actually applicable, then I'll give a button. Here. So feel free to kind of, whichever kind of ideas that you already have, just kind of book a call with us. It's very more beneficial to have a one-on-one conversation of how can those interactive campaigns suit your needs. Or if you're not ready yet, I'll of course send you some follow-up emails. You can always go through our website. And the best thing is, of course, if you want to actually play around in the software as well and create your own campaigns and see how it works, then you can always go to app.adact.com/.me/join. I put the button in the chat as well. Feel free to kind of play around, see all those different campaigns that we currently have in store. Maybe you have ideas and you would want to custom develop any of those ideas. That is perfectly fine as well. But it definitely helps to kind of innovate a little bit your marketing. So with that, I myself have finished everything that I wanted to discuss about. Are there any more questions that maybe come to mind? If not, I'll gladly direct you to our own site where you can kind of play around, see some of the campaigns that we have and offer, some case studies and so on. Feel free to kind of get in touch, kalev@adact.me, and let's kind of start doing gamification and marketing in a little bit more interactive and fun way. So thank you from me, and talk to you soon.